You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim. Climb the ladder, kid. Make yourself famous.
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, 1/3 of the OTM pay-per-view champions, and newly crowned one-half of the AEW pay-per-view champions, Kyle Gagliardi, alongside my good friend Jim Tucker, who doesn't have any championships anymore.
That's false. I am the NXT champion.
Oh, shoot.
I own 100% of that belt.
His name is
Put some
Tucky!
respect. What's going on?
I really wanted to start off with a burn, and then I end up burning myself.
I own more title than you do.
That doesn't even make sense, because I got partial of 2.
Right.
I'm a part of 2.
A half and a third is like 0.8.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm still
3.
a part of it. Like, if you're a tag team champion, you're half.
Yeah.
So,
but you have one whole of that half. You have that entire half is yours.
This is too much math.
That
for
whole
me.
belt is yours. You can go take that home and put it up.
Whatever.
over your
I'm a
TV
shareholder
like I
of 2 belts out
That's
of the
true.
3.
Well, and now we're kind of flexing on people because we have an AEW title.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Don't want to tell you how much it costs.
If
you know what I'm saying?
you've seen it on Twitter, at Pot on the Mark, it's a
Come
big
on
boy.
now. Yeah.
It didn't come with any Velcro.
No, half the Velcro. You could Velcro one side. I don't know if they all come like that. I don't know why they would, but
They had to have another piece because it has
I
to
know.
attach to the other side. Like, I've bought those like child WWE belts, which is virtually what that was, and they usually come with like a sticky side that you can just place there and it attaches. No,
Weird. Nope.
we don't have that.
Not up
But
in here.
Tyler Walk, the other half of the AEW pay-per-view champions, the guy is good at predicting AEW.
He's only missed one match in 2 pay-per-views.
That's pretty outstanding.
The first one, Double or Nothing, was kind of shoddy. He's making predictions halfway through
On the
matches,
go, yeah.
on the fly. But to his credit, joined us for the live show. He ran the camera for it. His predictions were present.
Yeah, the camera, a.k.a. my work phone, didn't really want to cooperate with that show at all.
It sounded like all of us were doing like the voice augmenter on like the crime shows on like ID or whatever.
Hey, good for Ian, though. He finally hit puberty, it sounded like.
Nice.
So that's
it's a good
positive.
step.
So I love how Ian had his belt for a couple hours, and then Junior goes with Eddie Kingston in the main event of AEW Full Gear, and that would be his demise.
Well, youthful exuberance, it was a bold claim on the level of one Mikey Wilson from the Region Degenerates podcast, a bold claim that
hey, Mikey's 1/3 a champion now as well.
yeah, he's holding gold. So
And I know I have to give credit to Ryan Vogus, because if I don't give credit to Ryan, he will call us out, or will call me out.
yes,
So
rightly so.
He is the other third of the OTM pay-per-view champions. But today's episode will be centered around AEW. Next week, the plan is to get into our Survivor Series preview and then strictly focus on the WWE topic. So we're trying this out. See, it's trial and error here at OTM. Some weeks we mix it in both, but we had an AEW live show. Now we're going to review that live show. And then next week, we're going to get into WWE. So if you like this format better than the previous, let us know. Give us some feedback, Tucky?
Yeah, for sure. We're always open to suggestions. What do you want to hear? What you want to chat about? So, the AEW party makes it sound like we had a ton of people. There was 5 of us.
Yeah, and
Plenty of space.
nowadays you have to, watch your party numbers.
asterisks, yes.
We'll get into the party in a little bit, but we gotta plug our network here.
Oh, the Overtime Sports Network.
That's right. And hey, speaking of Tyler Walk in the AEW Championship, he brought that belt onto OTSN Happy Hour, which is the only live weekly sports talk show on the Overtime Sports Network. Every Monday at 6:30, you can go ahead and check me and Mikey Wilson out. We always bring on a special guest.
Yes.
one of these weeks, I'm assuming we're going to have to get you on. Probably going to have to wait till baseball season, I would assume.
Yeah, baseball season. I'm locked up on Monday nights right now for like the next 5 weeks. But
That's good. We didn't want you on anyways.
Yeah, so, well, okay, good.
Just kidding, obviously. If we had Tyler on, we would have you on.
Yeah.
Episode 5, we brought in T-Walk, so I guess he's rehired. But, hey, you can check out the new website, otsportsnetwork.wixsite.com/OTSN. And if you were to follow them on the social media accounts, Twitter and Instagram, where would you go?
Well, @_OTSN is the easiest way to do it. @_OTSN stands for the Overtime Sports Network. We also have a YouTube channel, Overtime Sports Network. Find the scoreboard. We've got next.
That's a Mikey Wilson quote there.
Oh, yeah.
And like Mikey always says, do not click on the big O. You got to find the OTSN logo.
Yeah, that
you
ain't
probably know.
Yeah, and we're building.
By now.
We're the next subscriber will be 50. People forget.
That's true, and we are only 5 followers away on Twitter from 800.
Dang!
So we're trying to hit milestones.
We're
here.
growing.
We need to hit these
now.
milestones. So maybe when I go on the Cheap Seats tomorrow, it's a local radio show here in the region.
Yeah.
And I plug a little bit of the network there. Maybe we'll grow even more.
Well, and that's good. You know, you've got Rob Warren and Elijah Richardson heading up the Cheap Seats radio show.
Yeah.
They will say that much better than I will, but a couple of great guys. We know them through Wiffle Ball, Wiffle Brethren, so I'm excited to hear the show tomorrow.
I feel like they would, if they gave it a chance, might be wrestling guys, especially Rob. He gives off wrestling guy vibes. I know James Hayworth, another guy, said he was interested in AEW.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep recruiting here.
Come on.
That's what you got to do as a wrestling fan. Just, hey, poke the bear a little bit. Get those non-wrestling fan dork losers, whatever my Warhorse shirt says.
Yeah. Dork ass baby, little. Yeah.
I wore that shirt the other day.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
You're gonna catch eyes.
Hey, shout out to Warhorse. We're gonna get him on the show once this pandemic is over.
I hope we do. That'd be awesome.
I mean, I got a selfie with the guy. That was my profile picture for a little bit.
A very socially distanced selfie
with a mask on and everything.
Yep.
Because we promote social distancing here
Yes.
at OTM. But hey, speaking of the setup that we mentioned earlier, we were at your house. So tell the listeners that may not have known, they may not have seen the tweets on Twitter and the setup and all that, what we did, what you prepared for us, because you were quite the host.
Well, I really appreciate that. And managing a house without the wife. The wife was in Nevada visiting family, and I had to manage the dogs, which they all survived and thrived, I would like to say. But, we've invested a little bit. We've got a nice backdrop now and a frame for our YouTube production that's not always Red Sox-centric as it was in the man cave. So we've got that at our disposal.
That had to probably throw people off because we're based out of Northwest Indiana and we're always recording in front of
right.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, we got weird. Like, if you look at the personalities in OTSN, we're kind of all over the place.
Packers, Red Sox, Broncos,
Lions,
Jazz,
Bears, Steelers.
There's some Cubs. Sox, Crownham's the Sox guy.
I tell you what, man, we might be centrally located here in NWI, but
we spread the love. We spread the love.
We do spread the love. But yeah, you made some tasty snacks for us.
Yeah, I'm on a diet kick. You know, I've lost a few pounds, and I'm trying not to put it back on. So we've made some buffalo chicken dip, anabolic, which was low fat, high protein, Philly cheesesteak sliders, pizza subs. So we ate well.
Pizza subs, it was a great idea. That's something I never really.
Bro, get a Rosen's French roll.
Yeah.
Pizza sauce. Fat-free mozzarella cheese is key because you save half the calories. Turkey pepperoni.
I don't need that regular mozzarella cheese.
Boom.
You know I'm not a big cheese guy anyway, so that's
and,
perfect.
You end up at like 350 calories, 40 grams of protein. Let's go.
And that was my dinner, and I was satisfied
Solid.
with it.
And I usually, on the ones that I do, I double up the serving of the portion of, so you get like 35 pieces of pepperoni. Great. Awesome.
I'm sure you can find some... maybe some Italian sausage too. Put that in there if you would like that.
Yeah,
might have to venture into that world.
So there are options out there if you want to eat well and cut some calories. So it was a lot of fun. The weather significantly improved compared to the last time we took a shot at it back with Double or Nothing. Nobody was flooded. Vogus managed to stay for the whole show and didn't have to take a boat out of the seasons. That was nice. But yeah, good weather. Got a little chilly towards the end, but we had blankets for those that needed, myself included. I know you flex. I saw Vogus walking around in an upside down hoodie as pants. So
you got to get innovative with that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. So yeah, everything went well. I'm excited to do it again, host again, and it was nice. These fall times are nice because it gets darker earlier, so you don't have to like start with the garage door closed and
you didn't have that glare on the projector that you had set up for Full Gear.
Yeah.
So, and the stream was solid. There was really no interruptions there, and we also had Notre Dame game on the side on another TV, so it was quite the pay-per-view setup for Full Gear, and
yeah, can't complain.
I enjoyed my time and I enjoyed the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was great. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so the buy-in match, we're not going to talk a lot about this, but my biggest takeaway from Serena Deeb retaining was after the match. We saw Thunder Rosa appear, so there was a lot of rumors going into this match that she would potentially show up because of her contract situation with NWA, AEW, and then there was the rumors of WWE, but she showed up. She virtually said, we're not finished, me and you, Serena. So does this mean that Thunder Rosa is all elite, or is they still just dragging this contract situation out?
Well, and it's for the buy-in match to have something attached to it post-match. Cool. It's not clearly resolved. We don't know what the full picture is, but we do know that AEW does have a working relationship with NWA, and I think it's good for both parties, especially that women's division.
Yeah, we'll touch on that women's division definitely in the middle of this Full Gear review. But yeah, that's all I got out of the buy-in. They flexed Cassidy and Silver out of there, which I guess made sense. But the first matchup on the official card was the tournament final between Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. The pace in this one, I mean, it was really fast, and it's the kind of pace where you really cannot keep your eyes off of the TV, you know?
Yeah, and the back and forth between them, hitting, evading, getting in and out of spots, there were a number of moments where you thought the match would have been over, and then it ended with Hangman really understanding what the one-wing angel looked like. Omega was scrambling to get the head down. He was fighting it, but props to AEW for making the one-winged angel a finisher. If you're caught in the one-winged angel, you are done. And you see that WWE's not afraid. Curb stomp from Seth Rollins, rest in peace, right? Yeah. 7, 8 of them,
on the
9
Fiend,
of them.
yeah.
You know, there's these. Sometimes you'll see finishers kind of go by the wayside, but they've managed to keep Omega's finisher strong, as it should be. It's an impressive move.
The only other finisher I can think of that's really protected is probably the RKO.
Oh, yeah.
You really don't see many people kicking out of the RKO. You've seen people kick out of F5s, Claymores, and other finishing moves, but the RKO and the one-wing angel, like you said, the finish of that match, I'll just elaborate a little more if nobody caught it, because I know Mikey Wilson probably is listening to this. He is not going to watch the pay-per-view, so this is for you. So the ending, Omega delivered a dragon screw into the ropes, and then when Page tried for the buckshot lariat, that's when Omega then delivered consecutive V-triggers, which all of them were very vicious, and whenever he delivers those, it's very fun to watch. And then you got that delayed one-wing angel like you referenced earlier, followed by the pin. Omega wins. He earns the right to face Jon Moxley December 2nd on a Dynamite. They are not waiting till the next pay-per-view. They're saying this match, December 2nd, it is happening.
Yeah. Bold strategy.
I don't know if I like it. Like, can't we make this story a little longer?
Well, it definitely had the legs to get to February, I thought, but they also did the beach break announcement as well. They're having another special show like that, similar to Bash at the Beach, but yeah, Tony Khan has mentioned he's ready to shoot his shot and make Dynamite must see. And I think if you only have one TV, you're watching that one live, right?
Oh, 100%. Once I saw that match announced, this is the one we've been looking forward to for months now.
Yeah.
Like, once this tournament was announced, everybody's like, okay, Omega and Page are going to make the final. Whoever wins that tournament, they're probably going to beat Moxley, right?
Yeah.
You would think. We hope,
It's
I think,
time.
at this point.
Yeah, I agree. And we know, based on that infographic we touched on an episode or two ago, there's not a lot of no finishes.
Yeah.
They had 2 matches in 1 year that did not have a resolution to them. So you feel comfortable going into this match that something there will be a definitive winner or loser, and that's one aspect that I really enjoy about AEW.
And that's like if you're comparing it to WWE, when you get title matches announced, usually that means the champions are going to retain on free TV.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the case this Wednesday. I don't know if you watched NXT.
Oh yeah.
When Leon Ruff won, that's all I'm going to say about that. That
yeah.
happened, but it was exciting. But in this match itself with Omega and Page, I thought this was the perfect match to kick off the show. Set the tone for what was about to come at Full Gear. And just the fact that they already had a built-in story going into this match, former tag team champions, they both are venturing off and doing their own singles thing. That's just the cherry on the top right there, Tucky.
Yeah, and originally it sounded like this match was not intended to go first, and they kind of flexed it to the first position, and it could have been to parallel the president's speech and make sure that they were still continuing to get investment from the pay-per-view aspect.
I didn't even think about that.
If that was the call, not my original thought. I pulled that from the post-wrestling
I was going to say, did you come on? Because that actually makes a lot of sense.
They mentioned that. Could have been a great call. So, and it worked out in our favor from the prediction standpoint that all of the matches we all had agreed on, like swept 5 similar picks, ended up going first. And this was one of them. We all picked Omega. Points on the board for the boys.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that being flexed to the opener. I think that was the right call, though, because if you do open up with what Tony Khan referenced on Busted Open, which was Orange Cassidy versus John Silver, I don't think it sets the tone quite like Omega and Page did.
Well, and the reaction in the garage from us was like, okay, strap it down.
Yeah, like we were ready to go from the jump. And then when we got to Orange Cassidy versus John Silver, it's just hard to follow a match like that. So I just thought it was okay. I mean, they're 2 entertaining guys for sure. Like, when they're on my television screen, I'm paying attention, but I didn't think there was much to it. The right guy gets the win.
Yep.
And you kind of move on, right?
Yeah, and the only thing that I think might have given us a better afterthought was if this was put after the women's title match, because of the dud that one kind of was.
Yeah.
But at this point, everyone's 2-0. Boys are feeling good about their chances. So, yeah, it was fine.
And Orange Cassidy is just, and I know this win over John Silver is nothing really if you compare it to his other wins, but they just keep building Orange Cassidy strong. I don't know if this is just all part of the plan because he's had title opportunities for the TNT title, but he's just always coming up short. I wonder if this is just their way of booking him to be that babyface that always gets there, but he can never claim the ultimate prize. So maybe that's the plan with Orange Cassidy, but
yeah,
you would like to see a strap on him eventually, right?
Yeah, I just don't with the roster being so crowded. It's tough. We did find out that TNT has given AEW in 2021 they will have a 3rd hour of programming, not 3 hours consecutive.
That's smart. Smart.
There's another hour throughout the week. Positioning.
Just put the dark on.
Interested. Yeah.
On Tuesdays.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
That's a good time slot, I think, because what does Impact run on Tuesday, or are they a Thursday show?
I think they were Tuesday, but
yeah, I think Impact now you can only watch
like
on their app, or Twitch. So that's always tough to watch. Like I always see and I believe they have a pay-per-view coming up, if not their biggest pay-per-view, either this weekend or the next. So there's too much wrestling on TV for me to get into that. But the next matchup here at Full Gear was the TNT Championship, and we found out that there would be a new face of TNT in Darby Allin after he defeated Cody Rhodes. And the story in this one, Tucky, it was the cocky champion Cody overlooking Darby Allin, who he said multiple times on Dynamite leading up to this match that he could never be the face of TNT.
Wrong. Yeah. Arn Anderson was trying his best, man. He had a wild horse in the ring, trying to ring Cody back in. And then Arn, his comments to Darby, stay down, just stay down. And Arn has actually done more than I figured he would as a piece in the Cody puzzle. It was a great match.
Match of the night for you or no?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I saw a lot of people saying it was, so I just figured it wasn't my match of the night, but I'd say probably 2.
Yeah.
If you look up and down everything. We and you both predicted Cody, right, in this one? So
yeah, we did. This is where the Tower of Tucker began to crumble, but the other 3 chose Darby.
Yeah.
Good for them. Smart pick.
Yeah, looking at it now, definitely. Smart. I just didn't know if this was the time they were going to pull the trigger on Darby Allin. But obviously, now that I look back on it, it probably was the right time because where do you go with another Darby loss there?
Right.
Because he keeps getting these big matches. It's kind of like Orange Cassidy, but he can't win it. So maybe that was the right decision. At the end, we saw multiple roll-ups, and that's how Darby Allin won. It was kind of a sneak cover, which probably the right way to book Cody to lose.
He's not going to outpower him, no doubt. So it was going to need to be something sprung on him out of nowhere, technical. And then post-match, Taz comes out. We were contemplating a Cody heel turn at this moment, and they did spend some time thinking that it could happen. Taz comes out, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks from behind. And, Full Gear, we go into it with plenty of storyline. They did a great job coming out of it with many seeds to sow as well.
Yeah, in a way, it's like the stuff that happens after the match in AEW matters as much as what's going on in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it happened on the buy-in with the NWA Women's Championship, and it happened here with the TNT title. And you could see when you watch Dynamite this week, and then you see what's coming next week, Brian Cage and Starks are going to be facing off against Darby and Cody. So
yeah,
they're just knocking out of the park with the booking there. And then Darby Allin, the new TNT champion, very cool moment on Full Gear for sure.
Yeah.
After that, this is where things got, let's just be honest,
brutal.
Bad.
Yeah.
We're on the Women's Championship match, Shida versus Nyla Rose. Shida retains, but we came out of that match we knew this women's division was bad. That match was not good. What can this company do right now to save the women's division? Is there any saving it right now?
Scrap it.
You can't do that.
I know. I don't know what else to do. It's just not in good shape. They've got to continue. They've got to continue to bring in, rotate talent, right? Like an independent, like the Railcats, right? They're not afraid to make 150 moves in a summer to try to get the team they think they need to win. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I think, look at Impact, right? Their
women's division is way better.
Strong.
Yeah.
Like, very, like, so it can be done. And NXT and WWE both have solid women's division.
And NXT UK.
Yeah.
They got, and that's probably what makes it hard for AEW to build a credible division because most of the top female superstars are signed to bigger companies. And
a year in, are women hesitant to join AEW because of the state of the women's division? That it's a honest question.
Where's your big draw there too?
Right.
You don't have one. In the men's division, you got plenty of them.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega, you got Chris Jericho, Miro. They're bringing in so many big names.
Plenty.
So, I mean, who's the first female you think of with AEW?
Britt Baker.
I was going to say that or Brandy Rhodes. Just
and then
because
Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's your 3 right there.
And that's great. Aubrey Edwards is awesome.
Yeah, she's a great talent.
Great.
Yeah, she hosts her own podcast. She's a referee.
Brandy doesn't wrestle much. Britt Baker's hurt-ish on the way back, right?
Yeah, and we said it with Rio, too, when she won the belt, and it's kind of the same with Sheeta right now. It's not doing anything for him.
Nope.
I like Sheeta, and I know Brian Vogus doesn't. For some reason, I don't know why he dislikes her.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's bad by any means. She can go for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you maybe it's just because AEW hasn't positioned her into a position where you can be behind her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think booking is a big part of it. The women's division is rough. The match, the falls weren't clean. The kickouts.
Everything felt slow,
sluggish. It seemed like Sheeta was pulling up her shoulders on some counts. I don't know. Nyla might have got her bell rung a little bit.
Dude, Nyla's just not good.
She isn't.
She's not. Like, there's no way of sure. Tell me one thing good that she does.
Well, and she's straight up said on Busted Open, if she's not at AEW, she's not in a ring. She does not have access to a ring. Her only ring time is before the shows.
It can tell.
You
can tell that she doesn't get much ring time.
And Bully and Dave spent time, like, they asked her about it, and they were not mean about it at all, but you could kind of hear, especially from Bully's side, like, interesting.
Like, you're a professional wrestler. You should be getting your reps inside a ring, finding a way somehow to do it. Obviously, they're not the WWE where they have this performance center at their exposure, but I'm sure mostly any wrestler can find an outlet where they can get their reps in a ring. Or just reach out to the guy that runs the women's division, Kenny Omega. I'm sure he could pull some strings and get you some more in-ring time. So I don't know where you can go from here, but hopefully Britt Baker is going to take over that title soon and do something.
Yep. It can't get worse when she becomes champion.
It can't.
It will not get worse.
That's for damn sure. But speaking of championships, the Young Bucks defeated FTR in what was a tag team classic that lived up to the expectations that everybody always had for these two. So in my opinion, though, what I took out of this matchup, it was storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
The Bucks, who are usually not known for their in-ring psychology, that's all we got here. And I thought this was probably the best Young Bucks match just based on the fact that they were telling a story from start to finish when the bell rang.
I agree. And, you also have the layer, too. FTR, was it Dax or Cash?
Cash.
Cash goes for a flip, which, never does, never will.
He went for a 450, and he did it.
It looked great.
Yeah, and that's
nobody there.
That's what led to their demise. And they always had that motto in WWE: no flips, just fists. Mm-hmm. And that's the story in itself. They got too cocky, too overconfident, and wanted to play to the style of the Young Bucks. And that's the reason that they lost. The Young Bucks, they hit their finisher, and they're the new tag team champions. But they also were telling the story of Matt's ankle injury. That was a huge part of it. They took off the boot in there. They were attacking it from start to finish.
Yeah.
You can't do better than what they did there, right?
No, I thought it was a great match. This was my match of the night.
Agreed.
And I don't think that's a crazy stretch. The storytelling and the layers involved. I picked FTR because
that felt like a desperation move out of you just to gain ground.
Yeah, let's see, to mix it up and figure it out. You had confidence because you knew from the Cody aspect, if we lose, we'll never challenge for a title thing. Put the TNT tag titles on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw that.
So, yeah. But match of the night, great back and forth, great storytelling. If I had to pick a match for you to go back and watch, that's probably that one.
Yeah, and a lot of moves, too, in this match were taken from some of the greatest tag teams of all time.
That's a fun point. We didn't even talk about a lot of good callbacks for sure.
Some people didn't like it. I thought it wasn't a knock by any means. I think they knew that this matchup was so anticipated by the internet that they wanted to pay tribute to the greatest tag teams that came before them.
I took it as a nod, a tribute. Yes, like there are people watching this match that are going to understand what we're doing. They get, that's cool. And if I'm trying to defeat another one of the best tag teams in the world, I'm going to harken back to some of the greats that ever did it.
Yeah,
Think about us imitating batting stances as kids, pitching motions, right? So I thought it was a pleasant nod more than a derogatory mark.
And I've stated it numerous times in this podcast. I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks, but it was hard to not appreciate what they and FTR did in that match. Just overall, they hit it out of the park there. So new AEW Tag Team Champions and the Young Bucks. We'll see where FTR goes on from here.
And post-match storytelling.
Why am I blanking on what happened?
Omega comes out, Hangman in the tunnel with his glass, so
just standing there.
Just a little layer, like he was late to the party, left out kind of thing. So hats off to AEW once again. Post-match storytelling, sprinkles.
Absolutely.
Sprinkling.
Do you watch Being the Elite?
No.
Ian got me into watching it. I watched this week's. After they won the titles, they were celebrating with champagne with Brandon Cutler and Kenny, and then Kenny Omega's walking by with his whiskey glass, just glances in the room. Hangman, yes, that's right. Hangman just walks by, kind of just glances at him. So even in their YouTube series, they are storytelling. So when you only have 2 hours per week to tell stories, it's good that you have other outlets where you can do that as well. But after that, we got to see the Ultimate Deletion match. I'm just glad this feud is over between Sammy and Matt Hardy, but it was a funny fucking segment there.
Yeah, it was fun. It felt long. I could have been down around 14, 13 minutes of it.
I honestly thought it was done after the beginning where he hit him with that monster truck.
Yeah.
And he hit him over the golf cart, and that was it. Like, I thought that's all they were doing.
But yeah, it happened.
We saw Gangrel.
That was interesting.
Private Party was there.
Yeah.
Santana and Ortiz.
But if he
Hurricane.
knew the match was happening, why was Private Party just not at the house already?
They were partying. You know what they do.
Oh
my God, it's Private Party.
Oh.
Can we bring just... I know we're going to keep saying it until they bring it back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
That's all. Just bring it back. That's all I got to do.
So Matt Hardy wins that. We all got that one right, except for Vogus. Sorry, Vogus, but I had to reference that, of course.
Yes.
I just had to. Match after that, MJF would end up defeating Chris Jericho, and now he is a part of the Inner Circle. I didn't think this match was great, but it was solid, I would say. What was your takeaways from it?
The product of the match itself and what we will see in weeks to come was more beneficial than the match itself. So MJF sneaks his way into the Inner Circle with some trickery, doesn't make Jericho look like a buffoon in regards to, like, he got out wrestled.
He loses nothing in this.
So, and you have within the Inner Circle many avenues you can take it. So I just need more Gangrel, honestly.
Don't we all? He was just in Crown Point the other week,
looking
too.
old, dude.
Yeah,
looking old.
We missed out on him. But hey, like you kind of referenced too, both of them were trying their heelish tactics to win. Stayed true to their characters, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can give about that match. And like you also said, there's more to it than the match itself. MJF and Wardlow are now a part of the Inner Circle. So
yeah, and that match, regardless of what you think of the actual wrestling match itself, sets it apart because of the product we get. The Cassidy and John Silver match, it happened, right? So there's that element to it too. Wardlow, Hager, MJF, Sammy Guevara in the tussle. You know, it's just a lot of things you can do with it.
Yeah, for sure. The main event of AEW Full Gear, of course, was the world title match between Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I thought overall this main event was very good, not great, but we had a lot of tough spots to watch in it, but in a good way. Because we had tax followed by alcohol, and it was just a brutal matchup, and you could tell from the story that they built in such a short amount of time. I'd say it was a success, no?
Yeah, I agree. Many people were looking at this pay-per-view because of this match itself. And shout out to Eddie Kingston for doing what he did in that time and taking advantage of it. Very solid, very firm, B plus-ish.
Yeah, that's fair.
And, you know, the emotion shown by Eddie in the stranglehold at the end, his face, he's yearning. I didn't think it was going to end quite like that.
We talked about it on our preview show. We don't know if he could say, I quit.
Right. And you could tell he had the I'm sorry, Mom kind of face. Like, I can't believe this is happening.
And I don't think there were some people, Ian, that thought Eddie was going to win this matchup. I just figured it was the right guy at the right time to get to that next step, which was Kenny Omega. And Eddie Kingston succeeded. He might not be the champion, but he did a good job. So the finish, big pile driver by the champion, Jon Moxley, followed by the Bulldog choke, and then Moxley delivered the paradigm shift, and then that's when he reapplied the Bulldog choke again, and that's when the barbed wire came into play, and that is what finally made Kingston say, I quit. So you didn't make him look weak by hitting multiple paradigm shifts and then putting him in the submission twice.
He had to get choked out with a forearm full of barbed wire. So that's pretty tough in my book. You look at me the wrong way, I'll tap out.
I'm not stepping in the ring with either of those guys. Those are two psychos right there. So, no, it was a good main event overall and a very good show. What would you give it? If you had to give it a grade, AEW Full Gear, what's your grade here?
A-. A-, 91%. I'm knocking off
Women's Championship.
8% for that and 1% for anything else, I guess. It just, it was a great show.
I think it was one of the best pay-per-views of the year.
Yeah.
So definitely AEW's best show they put on in 2020. So I will give it an A. Mm-hmm. Only stinker for me, obviously, the Women's Championship match. And I could have done without Silver and Cassidy. It wasn't great, but it also wasn't horrible.
Yeah, it didn't hurt.
No.
Thoughts on the length? Some people have criticized how long it was.
It depends on the action that is happening. Like, usually with WWE, it feels
they just
too long.
They fluff those shows up a lot. I was actually very satisfied because we paid $50 for that show, and I think we got our money's worth.
I was never bored, and that's why I look at it. If you're gonna go long, keep me invested from start to finish. And there wasn't a time where I was like yawning. I was like, okay, I just want to get home. They went match to match. I think Tony Khan also did a good job at putting these matches in the positions that they were in on the card. So that's a big part of it too, because if you mess up that card order, it can kind of ruin the flow of a pay-per-view.
Absolutely.
So yeah, overall, I would give it an A. You give it an A-. So AEW Full Gear, definitely a successful night at Old Tucky's.
As Charlie Sheen would say, winning.
I was very excited to watch Dynamite, too, after coming off such a great pay-per-view. And they started things off with an interesting choice. We saw Matt Sydal versus Brian Cage, and this match was actually really good. And I think it had to do a lot with the big versus little dynamic that we have referenced before with, like, Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio. It just seems like for some reason when you put a smaller, athletic, high flyer with this big powerhouse, who we know Brian Cage can also...
He's a tank.
He can do a lot more athletic things. I thought that was a great start to AEW Dynamite this week.
Yeah, unsure of what the end goal for Sydal is. He's just where he's at in regards to the roster. But I do think it was an opportunity for AEW to get a reel of Brian Cage hitting him. What is he called? What's that move? The claw?
I don't know.
Driver?
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Catches him out of midair, looks strong, good package at the end, and then segues into another part after the match.
Yeah. And Matt Sydal, I think he's not a star. You know what you're going to get with him, and that's usually it's going to be an exciting match. It's just not a guy that you can invest storyline into, I believe. So they picked him up. They're going to have him as a tool to probably enhance other talent. He's also a guy that's been around the business for a couple of decades. I mean, he was in WWE as Evan Bourne. So Brian Cage picking up another quality victory. So that's going to inch him very closer to the TNT title, probably because of what we saw after the match.
Yeah, and he in regards to contendership, him and Starks are paired back to back. So
that's another dynamic too. That's nice because they're probably going to butt heads on who gets the first go at that title.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's probably going to lead to a feud between Cage and Starks, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
I just don't know which one's the babyface.
Taz, special guest referee. Let's go.
Who'll stab the path of Cage?
I also like how he calls Darby Dobby.
Dobby. Well, yeah, he's from the Northeast Coast. So he's got that accent.
Dobby.
Team Taz. I think that's what they call him. Or Team FTW. Who knows?
Team Taz, I think.
When's he ever going to defend the FTW championship? Is he always just going to have that?
It's his. Congrats.
It's good for him.
Way to go.
Another thing that happened on Dynamite, we're not going to touch on every single detail, but Cody Rhodes would come out to address the audience, but he would be interrupted by someone we never saw before.
Yep.
She goes by the name Jade Cargill.
Yes, we have found out since that she is all elite, but she is shredded.
8-pack, biceps bigger than both of ours combined.
Oh, yeah. The big takeaway here was the hell of a promo from Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah.
Towards the end, she comes out to defend her man. Jade Cargill gives her a little slap on the butt.
Yeah, that was an
Jerry
interesting.
Lynn's got to come out and break it up. So compelling.
I like that side of Brandy. I think we need to just let Brandy be Brandy, and that's what she was doing there. Like, we don't need this canned version of the character that is Brandy Rhodes. I just want her to unleash the real personality that she shows on A Shot of Brandy. I watch it on YouTube, and we get to see that. I've noticed that I've really been getting into AEW's YouTube
sub-content. Yes.
Which is nice because you get to see other sides of characters that you watch on TV every week. But Jade, when she was out there, she was teasing this big arrival. Yes. And I saw rumors before Dynamite that it could be like a Ryback that we saw in WWE years ago. No, it's Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yep.
That's a miss for me, Tuck.
I ain't feeling it.
I am not. So you're out.
Makes sense. TNT, NBA, sure, got it. Okay.
This is the stuff that AEW fans probably don't want to see because they hated that from WWE.
Yeah.
Like bringing in these celebrities just for a program. It seems like they're headed, and it's probably going to be a short thing with Cody and Shaq, but that when she announced that it was Shaq, I kind of tuned out for the rest of the stuff. So,
yep. I agree.
For me personally, it was a miss, but I guess your one highlight there is Brandy Rhodes. After that, we got to see a bunkhouse match between the Natural Nightmares and the Blade and the Butcher. This wasn't a wrestling match by any means, but I had some fun watching it.
It was dirty, and we got a couple gallons of blood. Thank you, cable TV, for that, because if that was SmackDown, it would be interesting. But bunkhouse matches, wow, that was cool.
They just named it that, but it was just a anything goes, no DQ match, which it kind of reminded me of what WWE does during the holidays. They throw like that Miracle on 34th Street match, and you got trees and kendo sticks.
Yeah,
but this was
to mix it up. Yeah.
But this was AEW's spin on it. It was much more intense and more graphic. Like you said, we had the blood in there, but I think it was a good match. It was fun, but Dustin Rhodes continues to amaze me every time. I wish he got more TV time, you know?
I agree. I do think he's slept on, but he is busy now. He does have a wrestling school, things like that. So, but he's not an automatic tune-off the way some are. He's just a professional wrestler.
He had one of the best matches in AEW history against Cody last year. Mm-hmm. That match was awesome. So the Natural Nightmares get a big win there, and the match was better than expected, I would definitely say. So after that, we would see MJF get his induction into the Inner Circle, and once again, for me personally, this segment, it was a miss. I didn't enjoy it. I don't know about you. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, not appointment viewing by any means. I do enjoy the dynamic between Jericho and MJF still, but it will get better. They're going to Vegas.
They are going to Vegas, and MJF bought them all tickets, even Sammy, who showed up a little later than expected. And MJF is great. Like, we know how good he is as a heel. Jericho is one of the GOATs, but this segment, in my opinion, it didn't add anything to the feud. Like, if we're going to do a segment, we're going to do a match, I want this to enhance the storyline a little bit. All I got out of this was MJF is in the Inner Circle with Wardlow, which we already knew.
Yes.
And he bought tickets to Vegas.
There we go.
What else did you get from that segment? Like
that's about it. You have 2 hours of TV, and we gave it to that. That's cool.
We could do better. We can do better. That's all I'm saying. But after that, we got to see Scorpio Sky take on Shawn Spears. This matchup was supposed to happen, I believe, a couple weeks ago. But
yes,
I was very excited going into it because I know that these two can go in the ring. But the commercial break ruined the flow a little bit for me. But overall, I think the right man won. And I'm just glad that these two finally got on TV, you know?
Yeah, I was a little confused with the way it ended because Tully sets Spears up with the slug in the glove, and then Scorpio Sky gets one as well, kind of like he ends up with a slug too, throws it away.
I think Tully was trying to get Scorpio to use it so that he got DQ'd.
Right. I wish the commentators would have pulled that out.
They didn't address that,
right.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit, for me, it was a little bit like, I need help here. I need a little, because I'm not a big slug guy.
No, I mean, it's fitting the Spears character. Like, he's been doing that, and he's been on a roll. So Shawn Spears gets a win here. Where does a guy like him go from here? Because they even referenced it before the match that this kind of was like a play into the top 5. Mm-hmm. But they've been there with Spears. Like, they've given him matches against Cody. He's had some big matches, but I don't know if they know what to do with him.
Nope. We'll give him a good match. We'll give him a win. And now we have a guy in the wings in a really crowded roster.
Yeah, I just found out, too, after this match, because I saw Peyton Royce tweet the lyrics to his theme song, that Josiah Williams, that guy that works in NXT and does, like, the themes, he rapped that song. Like, that's his song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that you could have WWE employees create content for AEW, but I guess if he's, like, an independent artist, like...
Yeah, like a freelance work or something like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was a cool little thing I learned from that. But the main event of AEW Dynamite this week was Rey Fenix versus his brother, Penta El Zero Miedo. And to the surprise of probably no one, the match was really good.
Yep.
I mean, that's...
And Kingston added to it on commentary as well. It was a nice touch.
Yeah, and I like when they bring in guys, especially like a Jericho and MJF and Kingston, the guys that are very entertaining. And Eddie can add that, backstory to the feud that is going on in the ring. Like, nobody else knows the relationship between all three of those guys but Eddie Kingston. So adding him to commentary, he can tell you a little bit about these two that are going at it in the ring.
Absolutely. And you don't tune in to hope to hear Jericho on commentary or Kingston, but it is a nice touch.
Yeah, it's like when the WWE adds like The Miz or the New Day to commentary. Like,
New Day.
It's exciting, it's entertaining. So that just added another thing to the match. Penta El Zero Miedo, saying that is a mouthful.
Yep, there's a couple turns there.
And especially when you just speak English.
Yeah.
But after the match, that was more of the story once again here. Pac would finally make his return to AEW, and it only makes sense that his first feud returning to the States has to be with Eddie Kingston, since Eddie virtually stole the Death Triangle from him.
Yeah, and this is a feud that I'm here for. I'm excited to see how it goes.
Yeah, and I was very excited when the Death Triangle was being formed before COVID. I thought that had some legs to it because Pac and the Lucha Brothers are great.
Yeah, and at that time, Pac kind of needed a little bit more juice to,
I love Pac. I think that's a guy you can shoot right to the moon, strap the rocket to him, let him do his thing.
Yeah.
Like WWE, when he was there and he was the Cruiserweight champion, his heel run there was some of the best stuff we saw on Raw every week. And just, like, imagine if you give him the world title here, what he can do.
Yeah.
Like the vignettes that they were showing on his return where there's multiple Pacs in the room and he's kind of going crazy. Something about him, man. I'm a big Pac guy. But overall, I thought AEW Dynamite as a whole this week was okay.
Yeah.
A solid 6 out of 10 for me. What would you think?
Yeah, I'd put it right in that same ballpark. Not one of those shows where you're going to think about back in 5 years. Oh, I remember this Raw when this happened, this SmackDown, this Dynamite. But now we're the furthest away from the next pay-per-view. So
now I'm just ready for December 2nd.
Oh, I know.
That match is going to be awesome. Like that's the only thing that's really like getting me excited for AEW right now. And that's not a knock on everything. I think everything is great, but like the only thing that I feel like is must-see is that match on December 2nd.
I agree.
So I know there's one more thing you wanted to talk about, what Tony Khan was mentioning on social media.
Yeah, and we've just mentioned it briefly, but Tony Khan has been adamant about the idea of this is not the only time where a return or a surprise could happen. We had the Shaq and Pac connection this week. So interested to see. I don't know that it makes me die to tune in every week.
I think that's his plan here, is to
that's
say
the
this.
Hope. Yeah.
And it worked for me this week.
Now he's got to follow up. The other announcement that we've left off the outline, AEW's got a video game in the works.
I saw that with
Did you watch
Ukes,
the video?
Right? No,
Yeah.
I didn't see the promo video for it.
So it was a 20-minute video. They were dressed as like Steve Jobs and Apple and
I
Black.
saw that picture.
That was fun, but not one game, not 2 games, 3 games. They've got a console game coming out. They've got a general manager simulator game coming to mobile.
Oh, that's about time. I loved when like Raw vs. SmackDown had GM mode.
So that's going to be on the phones, and then the AEW Double or Nothing casino game.
What's that all about? Did they explain
Poker games, things like that. So 3 different separate experiences. They're also bringing back the director and producer from the No Mercy video game from N64. So
and people call that one of the best wrestling games.
Yeah. So interested. The graphics from the next-gen consoles seem a little arcadey, not so as hardcore simulation as I think I think
that was their intention, though, to go the arcade route.
Well, and Kenny Omega is an arcade guy. I am confident that the game will be good.
Yeah.
It might not be that hardcore experience that you're looking for, but I think my biggest mine was WrestleMania 2000, the black cartridge. You had to beat Stone Cold in the campaign.
I think I remember that one. Yeah,
arcadey, not this super technical. So I'm excited. I think they're going to do a good job.
The GM one I think interests me the most because like when I play video games and a lot of them are sports games. Like I like Dynasty mode. I like franchise. Like when they had college games, I like recruiting.
Ultimate Team, Diamond Dynasty.
Yeah, I like building something
and
creating something to put yourself in Tony Khan's shoes. Like they don't have that in the WWE video games. Yeah, they have career mode, but there's a set path to it.
Right.
Like there's only one route you can go. So AEW very smart to go in different avenues with that. I'm excited for that. And overall, for AEW this week, 2 thumbs up, Tucky.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. So it was Full Gear was awesome. Dynamite was a good wrap up, kind of.
One final question for you: what's the biggest takeaway for you from Dynamite?
Dynamite.
I always like to think of what's the headline for you when you watch this show.
Coming out of it, I think the thing that was most striking to me was Darby and Cody in that tag team situation coming out of next week, and the realization that we've got Mox and Omega weeks away, not months away.
That's mine, but I also, unfortunately, the Shaq thing bothers me. It's rubbing me the wrong way, and it's like something we've seen before, and I get what they're doing. Like you said, the TNT connection with the NBA. It's overall, I can't complain though because we got very good wrestling on Saturday. We got good wrestling on Wednesday. All in all, a solid week for wrestling.
Yeah, life is good. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Well, until next week, we're going to segue into, that would be a Survivor Series preview.
Yeah, that's next Sunday.
Yeah.
It'll be a tough show to predict.
Yeah.
Because no titles from their perspective.
It'll be an interesting mix. Survivor Series weekend last year did not go well. It went great for us as a group in regards to live viewing.
Let's revert back to that. Last year we were attending Survivor Series weekend. Yep. We were at SmackDown. We were at War Games.
Yes.
And then we were at Survivor Series. So, man, we got to meet Kevin Owens.
Cool. That was fun.
Take me back. I'm
tired
of this
right?
bullshit that's happening around.
Yes.
We'll get through it, Tucky.
We will get through it. Until next week, make sure you follow us at Pod on the Mark. You can follow me, Jim Tucker, at JimTuck89, and you can follow Kyle on Twitter at 2SweetKyle.
Too sweet.
Until next time, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark Podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the